Rotarians, ladies and gentlemen, fellow pupils. I'm honored to welcome you this afternoon on behalf of our team. My name is Henry Platt, and I am acting as chairperson. Our speaker today is Sorna Daneshvar, and he will be speaking on the subject of the different styles of the U.S. and U.K. governments. This is a timely topic. Just a year ago, UK citizens went to the polls, resulting in the first coalition government in decades. In less than 12 months, the United States will decide whether to re-elect President Obama or the Republican challenger. Winston Churchill once said, "The United States and Britain are two nations divided by a common language." I mean, the two countries can't even agree on the definition of the word football. And they also can't agree on the style of governing. There's no better person on our team to shine light on these issues than Sorna. Raised in England, both an American passport, Sorna has the perfect perspective to understand and articulate these issues. Never at a loss for words, we value Sorna for his speaking ability and great sense of humor. After you've heard from Sorna, I'll be inviting a question from the designated questioner. A vote of thanks will then be proposed by Johnny Chavez. I've known Johnny for a long time. He came to ASL 6 years ago, speaking little English. It is amazing that in such a short time, a person can come to express themselves in a foreign language in front of such a big audience. Johnny had an insight of foreign policy as he is from Israel and his family has been involved in Israeli politics. Johnny kept our team running through thick and thin with his great sense of humor and hilarious jokes. It has been a pleasure working with these two talented speakers, and I hope to do it again sometime soon. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our speaker, Sorna Daneshvar.
Excellent chairperson, Henry Platt, and confirm that all the information he said about me is true, especially the fact that I am hilarious. In advance, I would like to thank our proposer, thanks to Johnny Chavez, because I know he will do a great job. Our topic is the difference between the government in Britain and the U.S. We chose this topic because we are at an American school, and we looked at the many American and British things we have, and thought about how many topics we could have talked about. Our chairperson, Henry Platt, tossed up the idea of the differences between British and American life, and we all liked it. But when we went for our first practice run, Henry rehearsed his introduction, and when I spoke, I took a lot of time talking about the differences in government, so we switched our topic to that instead. It seems that we have enough to talk about on that topic. What's the difference between British and American governments? Well, one is donkeys and elephants, and the other is birds, flowers, and trees. These are the symbols of the parties in America and the UK. The reason there is a donkey is because the 7th presidential candidate, Andrew Jackson, was called a jackass by his opposition. There is an elephant because a donkey scared away many zoo animals in a magazine published in 1874, and one of those was an elephant that had the Republican vote taped on it. There is a bird symbolizing liberty, an oak tree symbolizing concern for the environment and British heritage, and the rose is showing socialism and British heritage. The American and British governments are based on the Westminster system, which is British, but the governments are completely different. Perhaps this is because America didn't want to copy the system and they wanted to make it their own, or because of the War of Independence. Who knows? In America, there is the U.S. Congress, which is split up into two parties, and they have 535 members. And over here, there's the House of Commons and House of Lords. In the U.S., the senators are chosen by the state that they are running for. So if somebody is running to be a senator in California, it'll be chosen by the state of California. There are 2 senators for each state, no matter wealth or population. California has 2 senators just like North Dakota, even though California has over 36 million more people. Over here, the House of Lords are not elected. That's a bit old-fashioned. In the U.S., the the head of state is the president, which right now is Barack Obama. And he has to pass the policies and laws through U.S. Congress, which can pass or stop any policies or laws. In the UK, the head of state is Queen Elizabeth II. Even though the king or queen is the head of state, the prime minister, or ministers, has to pass the policies and laws through the House of Lords, House of Commons, and then the king or queen signs it to become a law. Another difference is the elections. American elections are held every 4 years and last over 13 months. And they cost so much more money. Barack Obama is planning a $1 billion re-election campaign. In Britain, the Prime Minister can be the Prime Minister at Her Majesty's pleasure, but there are a couple of catches. The Prime Minister can be out of his or her respective party, which cannot happen in the U.S., and the Prime Minister can have his elections when he or she wants, but he or she has to call an election once every 5 years. I was talking about parties, and trust me, these are not parties that DJs can deal with, and they don't have presence. These parties are much more serious, and they are one of the few similarities that there is in the U.S. and British governments. The Democratic Party is extremely similar to the Democratic Party, as they follow the same philosophies and ideas, and the Labour and Republican Party also share similar ideas. While they do share similar ideas, they don't share similar real estate. David Cameron is a 300-year-old house that has over 100 rooms. It has a kitchen in the basement, and the other rooms are taken up by many reception, conference, sitting, and dining rooms. Barack Obama has 132 rooms, 35 of those are bathrooms. He has 412 doors, 147 windows, and 8 staircases. He can either go up his 6 floors on those staircases or on his 3 elevators. Let's face it, he's not going to get his suit dirty going up the stairs. He's going to use the elevator. I would be quite hungry after I go swimming, bowling, jogging, watching a movie, or playing tennis or golf. But I would have 5 full-time chefs to feed me. It seems like the White House has everything, but one thing is missing: privacy, or privacy. The president has over 5,000 visitors a day. I'm sure if one of them needed to go to the bathroom, the Mr. President might have a couple free. Oh, the royals, by the way, get to live in an 830,000 square foot palace. That must be splendid. Margaret Thatcher, the UK's longest-running prime minister, said in 1984, "I am an ally of the United States. We believe passionately in the same battle of ideas. We will defend them to the hilt. Never try to separate me from them." Now, while both of these nations have a lot of differences, especially in politics, Margaret Thatcher was an ally of the U.S., and these countries seem like they are always allies. David Cameron and Barack Obama seem like good friends and allies themselves. And these countries, as I said, interact a lot. I'm sure that in the 1770s, though, they weren't so friendly. Unlike so many good and bad British and American politicians, I realized that I should let someone else speak. Thank you all very much. I would like to conclude my speech.
I'll be now inviting a question from the designated questioner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Now, Soda, I am very impressed with your speech, and I've come up with a few ideas. Perhaps you can help to put them together. You mentioned sharing ideas is the bedrock of the relationship between the two governments. Do you think it's possible in the future that the two governments will become exactly the same?
So another question is, you talked about how the ideas are the same between these two governments with your Margaret Thatcher quote, and do you think these governments could ever become the same?
Well, as I said, these governments are based on the same system. Now, as I also said, they are different. Now, I have a lot of different theories, but I think that they will not ever be the same because these countries have become different themselves. America has 300 million people, and Britain has substantially less, I believe 56 million. So I think that the way you have to govern America versus Britain is completely different. So therefore, you can't have the governments being exactly the same Because if they are, they'll only be formed towards one, and then the other one won't be as good for the people. Thank you.
Thank you for the question about will the systems ever become the same. I'll now be inviting Johnny Chavez to propose a vote of thanks.
First of all, before I start, can I just get one more round of applause for Swana and Henry's display today? As a team, we are very proud that we have won the Westminster Division for the very first time in ASL's history. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there on the day because of an injury I suffered, so Henry filled in for me and did a great job. On behalf of us all, I would like to thank Swana, the most proud Midwestern kid I've ever met for his clear speaking and fantastic volumes of language. I would also like to thank Henry Platt for his fantastic sense of humor and introduction to Swana Spotlight. Henry is the most international kid you will ever meet because he has lived in Hong Kong, America, and London, and is also an A+ student in his French class. As Henry said, I was quite interested in the different government systems the three countries have. They're very different because in America there's a president, in the UK there's a prime minister, and in Israel there's both. Presidents in America can stay for a maximum of 8 years, but an election has to happen every 4 years. For a prime minister, he can stay for as long as he wants to, he or she wants to, but they have to call an election every 5 years. The longest running prime minister is Margaret Thatcher, who ran for 11 years straight. By the way, I was quite amazed at the size of Buckingham Palace. 830,000 square feet. Wow, that must be a lot of fun. Mom, Dad, you wouldn't really like to pay that cleaning bill, would you? Another thing that was fantastic about this performance was that Swana's answer to the question was, well, if you ask me, incredible. I hope you guys agree. Finally, I would like to invite the audience to thank the two speakers, and the two gifted speakers, in the usual way.
I'm now going to propose a final vote of thanks. Can I ask for one round of applause for the City of London School for Boys for hosting us and providing this great venue today? I would also like to thank the Rotary. I'd also like to thank the Rotarians who put this competition together. Can I ask for one round of applause for them? I'd like to thank our parents and teachers for their help and support. One teacher specific helped our team. His name is Mr. Wallace. He sat with us at countless lunches and helping us improving our speech and getting us prepared for this competition. Can I ask for one round of applause for him?